recording. And we're good. Allison, do you want to lead us with a prayer?
Yes. Our Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for this day. We're so grateful for the chance that we have to take this class, that we're able to learn more about families and about communities, and to be more educated about the world around us. Please help us to always remember Thee and Thy Son, Jesus Christ. And please help us to have a good discussion today that we'll be able to always turn back to Thee. And we're so grateful for all that Thou hast blessed us with. And we say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Okay, so this week for the preacher role, I thought this was such an interesting week to do this one on, because a lot of the topics that were discussed had a lot to do with gospel principles that kind of tied along with it. And like some of the videos that we were asked to watch, like, were from the church. And so I just thought like some of that was super interesting. But the ones that I really enjoyed, one that I really liked was the very last video that we had to watch on stereotypes. And it showed like the different, it like gave someone a title, like a stereotype title, and showed what they were like and how they reacted to that stereotype. So I think the example it gave was a woman that was overweight, and how because of that her life was affected by it, and how the stereotypes that we are given kind of create who we are in a sense. And I just kind of wanted to take this principle and tie it to the gospel. That in the gospel there are like no stereotypes, right? Christ does not want us to label ourselves in order to put ourselves in like a box. And Christ says, through my atonement, you don't have to do that. Because of my atonement, you can be exactly who you need to be. And all that Christ and Heavenly Father care about is that we reach our full potential, that we on this earth, using what we've been given, we reach as far as we can. And so I really liked that. As I was watching the stereotypes video, I was trying to relate everything to the gospel and trying to get a good idea for what I was going to discuss today. I thought that that was kind of tied along perfect with it, that Christ did the atonement so we don't have to worry about putting ourselves into stereotypes like the world wants us to do. That if we just use Christ's atonement, we can overcome all and we can become something and overlook those stereotypes. And then one more thing that I thought was great, and I think we've mentioned this in previous discussions, but it's just the family, a proclamation to the world. Watching and reading everything that I did for this week really made me love that document even more because throughout the world, we can see that the world throughout time has just kind of like changed its morals and standards, and has just kind of been all over the place. Some of it really for good, awesome things, and then other things that I just don't super agree with. And so if I wasn't a member, if I didn't have that document of the family, I think I really would be like super confused. Like, where do I go? What is right? What is wrong? The world is telling me this. Now they're switching their mind on me. And so using that family, a proclamation to the world, I think really does tie in how the gospel fits in with our society, and what things we should accept and love, and what things work really well, and other things that maybe we don't agree with 100%. And looking at all of how the world has worked with that just it strengthened my testimony in the family proclamation to the world, that while the world may be doing one thing, we have always stayed steady, and we have our truths that we believe in and that we can continue following. So that was just kind of what I had for that. I don't know if that took up a lot of time, but those are
Awesome.
some of my thoughts.
No, that was perfectly said. Thank you for that. All right, so next after that, we're just supposed to invite team members to some of their most meaningful takeaways or nuggets for the material that they studied this week. So is there anything else that you guys want to say that stood out that maybe was really meaningful to you, or just anything like that? Okay, sounds good. Allison, have you heard anything from Wendy?
I have not gotten anything, but hopefully she can make it on. I know she's already contacted the teacher, and so if she can't make it on, I think that she has communication that
Okay.
will help. But she's still on vacation. I can answer the question really quickly if you would like me to.
Oh, yep, up to you.
One thing that I really enjoyed was part of what the first video with Emma Watson said. I love how Emma Watson started talking about with feminism that we also need to not just be looking at the woman, but take a look at what men and their role in society has been as well. And I thought it was interesting that she stated that women were stereotyped at the time and they had their own thing, but men were too. And it's kind of, I think we discussed it last time, and I think Todd brought it up, and I really liked it because it's such a good point that women in the past have been, like suppressed, and there was major things going on with them. But we also need to take a look at what the men's role was and what they had to endure, and how she said, like, they don't talk about emotion with men, and if they are not a certain way, then they're not manly enough. And it's kind of like the stereotypes that women experienced. And I just like that she brought that up, that feminism is not men hating. It's actually, we need to be looking at the man and support them in their roles, and know that it doesn't have to be one way in order for them to be considered manly. Or I don't know, the way she worded it was very good, but that was something I took away from the videos.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that was great. All right, awesome. So now we will go down to number 5, wave of feminism. Discuss each wave of the feminist movement in the United States. Add to the tables in your personal primers. Seek to capture the defining characteristics of each wave. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up my primer for week 4. And this is kind of what they're talking about. Did everybody have a chance to fill it out and turn it in? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So we'll just start with wave 1 from 1848 to 1920. What I wrote is the key objectives was gaining the right to vote. One of the slogans in the pictures of the article that I saw, New York City women have no vote at all. And then their achievements is the 19th Amendment was granting women the right to vote, which was kind of neat. I thought how the first meeting, there were 200 women who showed up. I think I put that somewhere. I just thought that was kind of neat, how they all came together. I guess I didn't think that it was fair. What did you guys put?
I put basically the same thing, getting the right to vote, equal opportunity for education, employment, and property ownership. I didn't see like a lot of slogans in the reading, so I kind of looked up different slogans, and a very popular one for the suffragette movement was just vote for women.
Awesome. Perfect. Anybody else? Okay. So the second wave, 1968 to 1980, the Feminine Mystique, which is a really popular book that came out talking about women's rights, and then married and unmarried women who had the right to vote. I don't quite remember the reading in that, so sorry. Slogans was end sex discrimination, and some achievements was 1973 Roe versus Wade guaranteed women reproductive freedom. Is there anything else that you guys put?
Sorry, what's the time frame we're looking at?
Wave 2 from 1968 to 1980.
So I was like, I think that Samantha said something about not finding a lot of this in the reading. So I looked it up online, and what I found was that that was a time period they were really pushing for equal rights in the workplace, but I'm not sure if that's right.
Yeah. Let me
Yeah.
pull up. Let me try to see what I was seeing.
I also saw that they were fighting for workplace, but according to the article that we were linked to, that was wave 3. Protection from workplace harassment and respect for femininity for wave 3.
Okay. This is what I read and based everything off of. See, and sex discrimination in pay and grading. Did you guys read through this?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
read.
Okay. Okay. See, New York City women have no vote at all. That's where I was getting my slogans from, as I was just going off of these pictures.
Smart. I was gonna say I wasn't able to find like slogans, but I didn't really think to look at the pictures. That's really
Okay.
smart.
I felt like
I
oh, sorry.
oh no, you got it. You go first really quickly.
I felt like the pictures aren't really slogans, they're just signs. I feel like a slogan is like something that all of the people who are in that movement would want to say, and then might not necessarily put that on a sign. Like for the first wave, vote for women wasn't on a sign. And then for the second wave, a very popular idea was the personal is political. And I didn't see that in any of the signs either. So it's like,
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so are we ready to go on to wave 3, or is there anything else that you guys had to say about wave 2?
Ready.
I wanted to add on that wave 2 was also, they talked about anti-capitalism and the Equal Pay Act of 1963 with Title IX in 1972.
I spelled that so wrong. So anti-capitalism, and what was the other thing? I'm sorry.
In the achievements, they did the Equal Pay Act of 1963 and Title IX in 1972.
All right, I'm just gonna put Equal Pay Act. I think that's good for mine.
Totally.
Yep. Okay, awesome, thank you. All right, so wave 3, 1991 to they don't know when that ended. The fight against workplace sexual harassment was the key objective. And then a slogan, or like what I put just from the signs, is I am the face of pro-choice America. And some achievements is created a new beauty standard that contradicts the second wave, wearing high heels, makeup, and pants. I know in wave 2, they were very, I am a woman, and then I read that, for wave 3, they wanted to be called girls. I actually didn't really know what to put for achievements. I couldn't really find set achievements, probably because they don't even know when it ended. But, I do know that they were just kind of, I don't know, it kind of sounded like they took a step back almost.
Yeah, I just put for achievements that they just brought more awareness to that being an issue. But yeah, I found the same. Like there wasn't really like an achievement that went on. I didn't really find anything. Yeah, it just kind of was a crazy time.
Yeah.
As I was reading, I was like, oh, that they just kept saying like they just don't want girls, like the society tells us that girls are dumb, girls are bad, girls are weak. So they became all of those things that they said society told them that they were, to just
Yeah.
kind of at it. But yeah, kind of an interesting little wave.
Are we talking about wave 2 achievements?
Wave 3.
3. For that, I put down Title IX. Wasn't that the Title IX? Equal opportunity for education for women?
I put that in wave 2.
Yeah, Title IX was in 1972, so that would have been wave 2.
Well, I got this stuff all right. I'm really good at these charts.
I feel that.
It is kind of hard. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I had them side by side. I was like, it was intense.
I so agree with you guys that wave 3 was both kind of taking a step back, and the only accomplishment that I saw for Wave 3 was the 1992 Year of the Woman, where women were voted into the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Oh, nice.
One.
For the House of Senate, is that what you said?
The House of Representatives and the Senate. So if you wanted, you could just put Year of the Women 1992. There's more information about it in the article and all over if you know the exact year.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, are we ready to move on to wave 4?
Yeah.
Perfect. So wave 4, I got was the present day. And we had the Me Too and the Time's Up movement. I'm not going to say that out loud, but that's just one of the things that I saw. And then we gained the right to abortion, which was a very hot topic in recent days when Roe versus Wade was back again voting on abortion rights, and now they left it up to the states. So depending on what state you live on is depending on if you can get a legal abortion or not. Is there anything else that you guys?
I think the only thing I'm pulling this from the reading, acceptance of queerness, sex, transgenderism, and body positivity for the key objectives.
Yeah, I thought about putting that, but I didn't.
Yeah, I don't really like it, but that's kind of the big thing right now. So I was like, it's historically accurate, but
Okay, awesome. Well, were you guys able to take notes? Are you guys all good? Okay.
I'm trying to take notes. I'm sorry, I'm slow. It's hard for me to take notes and participate. I apologize. Holler at me if you guys want me to say more.
No,
Yeah.
you're
if you need any help with this feminist stuff, I know too much about it, so hit me up.
This feminist stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Todd, do you need me to keep this up so you can copy it, or am I good to move on?
No, you're good to move on.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to B, a group discuss the failures and successes of each wave. I think we kind of did that. Talking about how wave 3 was, a failure just because women took a step back. And one thing that I thought was interesting is that in the first wave, I read that women felt like they were below Black men because Black men got the right to vote first. And that's kind of where it started, which I thought was kind of icky. I didn't like that.
Yeah. I thought something that was interesting as I read was that exact what you said. And then also that the waves themselves kind of have like a civil war with each other, that each wave doesn't really agree. It kind of said that towards the end of the article, that every single wave had their own objectives and it changed the way like feminism was viewed. And so some people from wave 1 did not agree what happened in wave 2. And so I just thought that was interesting that like they all were considered feminists, but every single wave is a different form of it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And then today's wave is just insane.
Yeah, it kind of goes all over. I know, it's kind of interesting. Reading all of it was interesting.
I wonder if people felt the same way back in the 1800s. Like, these women are crazy. What are they doing?
I think part of it is that feminism, it branches out because it's supposed to be for women, and women are like, there's billions of them. Of course, they're going to have different wants and needs. So there's a lot of different like sex in like individual waves. Like I can't remember if it was the second or third wave, Black women felt that they weren't being appreciated enough in the movement, so they branched off and became womanism. And that
Yeah.
happens in every wave, where it's like, oh, I don't want what you want. So there's just all these feminists just wanting different things. And then I feel like as a society, we kind of want to group them together because they want the same thing, which is partially true. But
No, I think you worded that so well. It's so true. And there was like at the very, very beginning of our reading, there was one thing that it said, and I thought that it went along with it really well. It just says, a third perspective suggests that the differences within a sex may be greater than the differences between sexes. And so it's just stating that, yeah, every single woman is so different. And if we group them all, just like we group them all with feminism, if we just group them all as women, that's just not accounting for every single one of them. And like you said, like every single one of them views things very differently. And that's why so many things. But I know that's such a good point. I loved how you worded that. That was really good.
I
Find
think
it
that's-
interesting how much anger there is among the different groups and ideas that they have, where they actually will get mad at you if you're a woman and you want to raise kids and be in the home, because they're like, feel like you're somehow messing with their vision of what women should do. And they almost view it like a threat. And so they're mad. Whereas the women that want to stay home are like, wait, we fought for this to be equal, but to be allowed to raise our children. It's just a different view. It's a different vision. And I don't know why there's so much conflict, but I think there could be, can't we have both, where people that want to go to work and be career driven and women that want to stay home? Can't that be on the same plane somehow?
Yeah,
know.
I've gotten a lot of hate for being a stay-at-home mom. You know, you're just lazy for not working, and then
You are lazy, Amber. Go to work. Come on now. What are you doing?
I know, just being lazy, don't do anything.
Raising kids. My goodness. That's
on that note,
ridiculous.
I feel like
Laziness.
that's where feminism kind of falls apart, where
Mhm.
it distracts from what actually keeps all women together, which is like our biology and like the physical experience of being a woman, because culturally it's different for all women, like most women, what they experience. So once you retain like biological equality, like equity, I would say, because there's things women can't do and men can do, vice versa, it gets into this reductive, like, oh, what I do should be exactly the same in your mind as another thing that happens. So it's just it doesn't really build anything, I feel like.
I like how you used the word distract, because it is distracting, and it makes people think they're fighting a different fight. And we get away from the equality of women because we're fighting a simple an issue like, oh, women need to go to work instead of staying home. That's not the issue. That's their decision. That's not the issue. The issue is freedom of choice, I think. What do you guys think?
100%. That feminism is the freedom to choose exactly what you want to do with your life, whether that is you want to be a stay-at-home mom or you want to be a career woman. To have that freedom is 100% what they're fighting for. And yeah, totally, the goal has been completely changed, where it's now we're all wanting them to do one thing, and then it's like, well, that just defeated the purpose of like what we were fighting for. So I like how you said that, Todd. That was good.
Well, I think that falls in great with the next question, is that if your group was meeting today as Seneca Falls and planning to launch the next wave of feminism, what was your key objective, and action items? So, you know, having the right to choose, but, you know, just as Roe versus Wade, being pro-choice, being able to choose abortion, I mean, again, that falls into that category of women being able to choose, which I know the church is against, you know. So where is that line? You know, where is that line where we can choose what we do with our bodies, what we don't do with our bodies? Because not everybody is a part of the church, you know, not everybody believes in what we believe in. So I guess one objective would be, you know, to choose what we do with our lives. I think domestic violence needs to be more, I think the attention needs to be brought more to maybe not abortion, but, you know, why people get abortion because of domestic violence, you know. I don't know, what do you guys think?
That's a
Wait,
great
I didn't
idea.
understand. They get a abortion because of domestic violence? You talking about
No,
rape?
well, like rape, if you were in a marriage and you were raped and you became pregnant, that could call for an abortion, because that woman doesn't want to be carrying around, a baby, victim of rape. It is, it could be a cause of it.
See, this one's hard for me because it comes down to life.
Mhm.
If the child is alive, then there's no excuse for killing. That's just it. If it's alive, when does life begin? So that's the issue for me. It's not all this choice of what happened to the girl, because two wrongs don't make a right. So to me, it's when did life begin? Because at any point, because there's tons of situations where someone's upset, but they're not allowed to kill their kids because the kids are alive. But the same thing in the stomach. When does life begin? Because when life begins, I don't think it's an option anymore to kill, because how do you kill a baby? One wrong doesn't justify another one. So that, for me, that's the issue, is when does life begin? Because once it's begun, there's no longer an option to kill it. That's my stand. I don't really know how that goes with everybody else, but anyway.
Yeah, and it is hard, because one wrong, but it's are you going to bring that baby into a drug abusive life, and you could put the baby up for adoption, but just it is. I haven't been in that situation personally, but it just sucks. It's a sucky thing.
It's very hard.
It is very, very hard. I think banning abortion doesn't stop abortion, it just stops safe abortion. I think women are going to carry out abortions with hangers or throwing themselves downstairs. So, would I rather them doing it safely or doing it in their bathtub?
Which they didn't, even with abortion being legal. Women would do all those things. So it doesn't,
Yeah.
having it legal doesn't end the madness either.
Yeah.
I think part of that is making it accessible. Like, I don't personally, I don't really like abortion, but I want that to be an option because I know how desperate these women feel that they'll do these at-home operations basically that will murder them. And I feel if they have access to a safe way to do it, whether or not I agree, will keep them from literally killing themselves. And I don't know. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
I'm also really confused about it too. It's like,
Yeah, it's hard because for me, it comes back to life. If the baby's alive, then we don't need to make it safe. We don't need to make it legal. We don't need to make it clean. We don't need to make it wonderful of an experience to kill a baby. If the baby's alive, then any attempt to kill the baby is horrific already, and it doesn't need to be made any nicer. If the baby's alive, if we're killing a baby, then we don't need to be protecting the mom who's killing the baby. We don't need to be protecting others or their feelings or anybody. If the baby's alive, there's no reason to make it a nice experience. We're killing a baby, and that's horrific. And that's my opinion. If the baby's alive. Now, I know everybody has a different opinion of when life begins, but once it's begun, it's murder. So we don't need to put a bow on it or make it nice or gentle or save emotions or feelings because we're killing the child. Now, if it's not alive, well, that's a different argument. But if the baby's alive, why should we make it nice and safe for someone to try and kill it? I don't understand that. If the baby's alive.
Yeah. I know one thing when I talk to people, a point that I bring up is, if we value the baby being alive inside the womb, why isn't it illegal for the mom to do drugs or drink while they're pregnant? I had a woman show up at my doorstep. She's a longtime family, not really friend. We just took in her daughter for a while, but she was pregnant and she was obviously high on meth and came in with a bottle. She didn't even have pants on. She was completely naked from the waist down, and we called the police and the police said we can't do anything because she's pregnant. Doesn't matter if she's drinking or doing meth, it's a fetus. It's not a person. So again, it brings up the question is when do we value that life? Me having a baby, once I took that pregnancy test, even though it was the size of a little tiny seed, I valued that baby as a baby. I knew that I was growing something precious inside of me. It just sucks. It's such a hard topic. But it is an important part of the feminist wave is the right to abortion, you know.
You think you say that's an important part that they have the right to abort?
It's not, you know, whether it's legal or not, it's just a part of the wave. It just
It
is.
is definitely a part of the wave, and it is definitely a tough issue, especially when you get young children who get raped by some psychopath who's high on drugs, and now you got a baby who's going to have all these issues. It's hard to tell them and be logical about, hey, it's a life, because to them it's not a life yet. They're preventing a terrible life. They're actually trying to save their life and their child's from having a bad life. And so it's a tough issue because it's not clear on where anybody should stand or when life begins, or it's terribly tough issue. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a lot easier for a guy not
Yeah.
having to deal with all the emotions and the changes and the body changes and the hormones and the stuff to look at it, say, oh, I'm rational and here's how you should see it. But I never have to experience it. So it makes it hard for us to really actually have a good way of empathizing or sympathizing with you guys. I'm sorry with all you guys have to deal with and go through. I think that the world is a lot more equal now and I love it, but it's still way harder for girls than it is for guys. There's no question. No question.
Thanks for saying that. Yeah. Well, shoot. That's okay. That's okay. I'm glad Roe versus Wade was overturned. So we don't have to make that decision. You know, we'll leave that to the Supreme Court. But we can go ahead and move on, unless there's anything else that you guys want to add, if we would be talking in the Seneca Falls. Okay. So discuss and explore some of the following questions or concepts below. Choose the questions most meaningful to your group. Oh, there's a lot here. Okay. Do you guys want to go ahead? Maybe we can each choose a question, just to whatever question that the spirit leads us to. I think H is the one that I'm led to.
I really like C on the, no, not on this one. It's D on the charge one. I was looking at my primer, sorry.
Real fast, do I owe anybody apologies? Sometimes I get too opinionated and I bulldoze over people. Was there a different opinion that I bulldozed, or sorry if I come off too strong?
No,
That-
Todd, you did.
My
You're
bad.
great. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm
I
sorry.
gotta say, I don't always agree with you, but I do always respect you. Your conviction and your passion is very admirable. And I'm like, I don't know if I agree. Most of the time, I feel myself like very positively toward you, even if I don't like how you're saying things sometimes. I hope that comes off good. Like,
I take it as a compliment. Thank you, Samantha. I appreciate
Cool.
it. People have to be very patient with me. I'm sorry. So thank you.
It's also hard that you're the only guy in a girls group. So, you know.
Good for me because I get along generally better with girls than guys, but
Oh, great.
yeah.
Okay, so Samantha, you chose D, I chose H. Allison, did you have one?
Yeah, I don't know if mine is on on the one that you guys have. Did yours, how far down does yours go? Because the one that I was choosing was S on mine.
Oh yeah, that's okay. I just couldn't show all of it, so I was like, well, I'll
Oh.
just show this little thing. And then,
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll do S.
okay.
I could do, I don't care. I'll do J.
Okay, okay. Okay, so how about Samantha, since yours is first, how about you go ahead and start?
All right. Well, this question reminded me a lot of a conversation I had with my abnormal psychology professor, where about mental health and how, as someone who struggles with mental health, I really dislike like both ideas of treating mentally ill people like they're like some sort of disease, and like, oh, we have to like treat them with special, like kind of like a negative special consideration, and then the other way where you treat them like a super positive special condition where you have to like baby them and do all these special nice things for them. And I thought that that's kind of the same idea toward women that we should culturally adopt. I'll read exactly what I wrote. Avoiding practices that shame or belittle qualities individual to or characteristic of women, while not adopting the world's view of women, which is usually to glorify. For example, it is oppressive to force a woman to stay home and bear children against her will. It is the world's reaction to force her out of the home and call that empowering. It is oppressive to belittle a woman's body because of its natural shape or processes. It is the world's reaction to glorify and objectify either. So just finding a balance that treats women like people instead of disgusting things or amazing goddesses.
Yeah, I think that that was beautifully said. I think that you hopped on that really quick. I'm really impressed on how you answered that so quickly.
Thank you.
But you're right. And, back in the 80s, you possibly wouldn't even get hired for a job if you had anxiety. I mean, they would be like, oh, you can't work here because, you have a mental health issue. So I'm glad that we've come together as a society to bring more awareness to it. But you're also right. We can't cater to every single one of your needs because you're depressed. You got to get up, you got to do your job, you got to keep care of your kids, you got to keep on moving, but also remember to value yourself in every way. Was that kind of what you were getting at?
Yeah.
Perfect. Anything else that you guys want to add?
I thought I was great. That was a good comment.
Okay, perfect. I will go ahead and go on to H. Should we be concerned about men's rights or what can be discussed in the public square? Well, I think, we've touched on it at least a little bit. I think right now it is all about women, but if we want equal rights, that means men need to have rights as well. We can't just sit here and be like, oh, men are disgusting. Men can't vote on abortion rights, or men can't do this, or men, men need to be able to have the same rights. Being a stay-at-home father. I mean, being a stay-at-home father is almost worse than being a stay-at-home mother. I mean, men have these expectations of you need to go and work and you need to make $100,000 a year. You need to make sure that every single one of your kids has every single thing that they need while the woman stays home and cleans, which is fine, but we need to be able to see each other as equals. As if, me and my husband were talking the other night, when I get my degree and I graduate and I'm, making as much as I hope to be making, he can step back from the business that he's opening and he can relax and he can be at home, which is a double standard. I should be just as accepting as him being at home and me working as him working and me being at home, So absolutely, if we want to be seen as equals, then we need to be able to treat men as men. And I'm not the best at that, but I'm definitely growing.
Love it. Thank you.
Of course. All right, Todd, you're up.
Okay, me. Let's go back to it. think I said J, right? All right, do we have to focus on the difference between groups instead of the needs of individuals to eliminate racial inequality? I think we absolutely need to focus on individual people. Let's see. So no, we don't need to worry about the groups, because if we're pushing one group and then trying to make it better, and then okay, now we need to come back and focus on this group, we're always going to be leaving a group behind. We need to be unifying everybody as one people, making it free across the board, making sure the laws are just correct for freedom, and then we need to work on as individuals what they need and where they're trying to go. But if we're constantly trying to say, okay, now this little group right here, we've got Black, gay, Jews, now we need to make sure they're free and write their freedoms into the Constitution, then we're leaving other people out in that act. So I think we just need to start moving together as a community and as one, and stop putting race or groups into any of it at all. Take out the groups, take out the race, take out the trying to focus on the different people, because when you're focusing on a group or a race, that is racism, that is discrimination, because now you're leaving everybody else out. So I think the best thing to do is just make sure that the laws are good for everybody, not as groups, but as for everybody, they're equal. And then focus on individual person's needs to help them get to the level that they want to get to, or whatever they're looking for. Just as an individual, just help people. I don't know. Does any of that make sense? Am I saying that right?
That
Yeah,
sounds great, Todd.
Oh, thank you.
It reminded me of in church when they say, remember the 99. It's like, we can't cater to the one sheep. You have to remember everybody. I don't know.
I love that.
Awesome. Thank you. Allison, you are up.
Awesome. I loved what you said about that, Todd, that we don't look at the group, we look at the individual, and if we group people together, it's putting that stereotype on again, kind of as I said earlier. But should we be tolerant of ideas or practices that are sinful by our doctrine? I liked this one because I thought this tied along really well with what the role of the preacher was and what I had to do as far as standing on the point of the church. Because in every single video that we watched of the church being represented against some of the things that were going on, the church held firm. They've never tolerated certain behaviors or certain doctrines that we do not believe in. Even if we look at like the video with Elder Christofferson and his brother, there was like one scene where I was like, oh my goodness, I thought there was going to be contention, because he straight up says to him, like, what you did was wrong. And I was like, oh my goodness. But he said it straight up, and he was very, very straightforward with it, that he knows where he stands and where the church stands. And he's not afraid of anything getting in the way of that. And he's going to be kind about it. He's not going to try to hurt feelings, but he is going to stand by what he believes. And I noticed that with everything in the church, even when when gay marriages became legal and they had to do that news thing, and we watched that one, the church was very firm on, we do not believe in gay marriages. We will love and support, but but that's just not what we believe in. And so as an example, looking to the church as an example, I need to learn to be very firm in what I believe in as far as what the church is concerned, and what doctrines I 100% believe in, and where I should stand firm. I thought that was a really good example of that, though, because sometimes it's scary. I am not one that enjoys like contention or disagreeing and I just want to make everyone happy. And you can still do that, but knowing where you stand at the same time is very important. So that's kind of what I thought of that one.
Yeah, that was a really good example about how, the church is just very firm on what they do believe in. Something I struggle with. All right. Anything else? Okay, well, I think that we are pretty much done. I think Todd, if we had more time to plan, which we were kind of behind this week, you would have shared additional research or anything. So maybe if you come across something, you can send it in the group chat, like an article or church article or something like that, that we can all look at and read, that has anything to do with what we talked about today.
I have a community resource.
Samantha has one.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. If you want,
Awesome.
I'll send the link to it and you can open it so we don't have to switch hosts.
Okay. Are you gonna send it in the chat?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, this one is specific for Texas because that's where I am right now. It's about recognizing, responding to, and reporting sexual harassment, which was a big idea in the third wave?
I
The
think it was
second?
the second
One of them.
one of them.
It's difficult. Yeah, one of the feminist ideas, and also what was it? Time's Up. That was also about workplace harassment sexually. So I thought this was very appropriate.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for that. I'm gonna go ahead and
I thought it was very good that now we kind of recognize workplace sexual harassment. It's not always as extreme as like physical touching or anything that's like super recognizable like that. It can be like a comment or just even words. And I thought that was really cool and important to recognize now.
yeah. And men and women. Women do it too. Like,
They
you know,
definitely do.
it's just harder, again, equal rights for men. It's harder for men to come up about these things than women are, you know. Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and assign roles for next week so we're not scrambling like this week. Is there anybody who would want to volunteer to be the chair?
I haven't done that yet. I can do that.
Awesome. I can go ahead and be the preacher.
I can be the scribe. I think that's the other one that I haven't done.
Okay, and then Samantha. Samantha.
Amantha, that would be a cool name. No, well, we've already, I just did the community one. So let me take a peek at the worksheet.
While she's looking at, I was behind on my note taking. What did you say you were going to be, Amber and Allison?
I can be the scribe.
Scribe.
I will be the preacher.
You're the preacher. All right.
I can be the summarizer. So
Okay.
Wendy can be the connector.
Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and if you guys are okay with that, I'm going to let Wendy reach out to us in the group chat and see what she wants to be or what's up. Because we might want to make her a more important role. We might have to redo this a little bit.
Well, the connector is a required role.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, mine isn't required. That's why I picked it.
Okay. Oh, okay. That works out great then. Okay. So Wendy is the connector. Okay. Perfect.
Is the connector the same as the networker?
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. And then it says be planful but appropriately flexible, with the overreaching goal being to deepen our understanding of the content and its implication to your life and our field of study. If you don't make it through all the discussion items, but time was well spent, you have succeeded. Awesome. Once completed, please submit your personal nugget worksheet and Zoom report on iLearn. And all right, I think we're all good. Anything else that you guys want to add?
No, I thought you guys all had made amazing comments today. I loved all of them. It was a really good. I liked that one a lot. That was awesome.
Thank you. You too, Allison. All right, do you want to go ahead and lead us out in a closing prayer?
Yes. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for this day. We're so grateful for all that thou hast blessed us with. And please bless us as we continue going throughout the rest of this day, that we'll be able to have thy spirit to be with us, and that we'll be able to continue to learn and to expand our knowledge. And we're so grateful for our friends and our loved ones and our family members. And please bless all of them. And please bless us in our studies, that we'll be able to stay on top of our work, and that we'll be able to accomplish all that we need to. And we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Good job, guys. Good Zoom class.
Yes. See you next week.
See you next week.